Hello, welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying. We'll look at the big stories for the week as reported by media outlets across the country. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, I'll take you through the stories that made headlines for this week. So you're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. So let's go through the stories for the week. We'll start with the one to do with state lands and matters arising from the acquisition of state lands. We start with a Chronicle. They say state land capture tag is politically motivated. That's the minister speaking, Mr. Jinapor. We move away from the Chronicle to the Ghanaian Times. Alleged land grabbing by political class. We will publish list of public lands. Lands Minister promises. Insists public lands are safe, intact and secure. So that's from the Ghanaian Times. ABC News says land grabbing allegations baseless. Jinapor clears the air. And finally, on that story, let's take you to ChannelOne News. They say minority accuses government of, quote, deliberately and, quote, hiding data on public lands. Now, away from that, we'll move to another story making headlines having to do with the Ejapade document. And let's see how that story is being reported. Daily Post says Ejapade Togbe Afede confirms Chebi Mafia have gone after his business. ChannelOne News, people who believe a Ejapade document must have their heads examined. This is Gabi speaking. City Newsroom, I have recognized my doubts, reconsidered my doubts about Ejapade documents. Togbe Afede speaking over there. So those are some of the stories around that document. We'll move away from that. We go to the NDC launching its youth manifesto and also on the campaign trail, what they have been speaking about. We go to Daybreak. They say Mahama promises free tertiary education. Daily Guide says Mahama's free level 100 policy stokes fire. And then let's take you to Daily Graphic. They say Mahama launches NDC Youth Manifesto, promises to create jobs. Still with that, adomonline.com, Clement Park defends NDC's proposal to waive tuition fee for first-year university students. So those are some of the stories around the NDC's launch of its Youth Manifesto. We move away from that, we go to illegal mining, still making a lot of rounds in our news broadcasts. We'll start with gbconline.com. They say residents of Konongo threaten to stop Galamsey activities affecting water bodies in their own way. 3news.com, Konongo residents alarmed by Galamsey activities along highway. Let's go to City Newsroom. Government has given up on Galamsey fight. This is Suhini speaking. And then myjoyonline.com, illegal miners extend activities to middle of townships along highways. So those are some of the stories around the Galamsey issues. Let's wrap up. And the Olympics, those who went for the Paris Olympics have returned. So there are some stories around that. So matters arising from that. We start with the Daily Graphic. Paris Olympics, Ghana suffers another 4x100 meter heartbreak. Ghanaian publisher, 2028 Olympics start investing in athletes. Ghana Athletics president urges the government. The custodian, 2024 Olympic Games, Cote d'Ivoire, Cape Verde, save West Africa as Ghana, Nigeria go blank on medal table. And then finally, ChannelOne News, Paris 2024. This is the worst race I've had this season, Azamati speaking. So those are some of the stories. When we come back, we'll introduce our guest and then we'll take it from there. To stay with us. So you're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Today I'm having discussions with Selim Adono, who's here with us at ChannelOne TV as well as City FM. Selim, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
And then I have a returning gentleman, Larry Alan Stokwe, managing editor of the Informer newspaper.
The what?
Herald, right?
No, Mama.
Apologies. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me?
No. Okay, around will be okay.
I can't afford a round at this time.
A piece of the land.
La land.
Hey, fellow. You are
Not the cemetery land.
No, the proper one.
The proper one.
Fellow, you are shaking the table. Go and take which land? I beg you.
That's the only apology we will take.
Hey, then I have work
I want
to
the
do.
child ones.
Yeah.
You want the child ones? Okay.
Close to the trade fair.
We'll talk after the show. I can't speak
beachfront.
publicly on this.
The beachfront.
Oh,
The
no.
beachfront.
There has to be a public commitment. My lawyer is here.
My lawyer is not around, so I can't commit.
Oh, no,
I
yeah,
have
about
to
that.
wait for my lawyer to come. Then we can.
It will be rectified.
No, I don't want to get into trouble, but apologies.
That's what I know.
Larry, welcome.
Oh.
It's been a bit since
Sure.
we saw you on the show.
Sure.
Where have you been hiding?
I've been busy with money.
You've been busy with lands. You've been busy with publishing stories around land. So I'm going to start with you on the land matter. Yeah. You know, the minister has come out to speak. He's made certain statements. First, he says the state land capture tag is politically motivated. He also says that he will publish the list of public lands. He's insisting that the lands are safe, intact, and secure. He's also saying that the allegations against him, including the ones you've been making in your newspaper, are all baseless, and then he's cleared the air. But of course, this evening or this afternoon, we had the minority coming up again to say that government is deliberately hiding data on the lands. Now, hearing what he said, coming out to do his press up, meet the press, and all the statements he said, and from what you know, what are your reactions to all that?
Well, good evening to our viewers. First of all, I think that the issue goes beyond the minister. Yeah, it goes beyond the minister.
Why so?
I mean, various ministers have been in that position, okay? And this state land grab started, you know, years ago, where lands that are supposed to be held in, let's say, in trust for the state by the Lands Commission, I mean, it's going to private individuals. In some instances, people are buying them, you know, at ridiculous prices and selling them at outrageous prices. Okay? There's been several demands for an audit, but nothing comes up. The release of data as to who got what, I mean, has never been forthcoming. Yeah. And that demand, predates Abu Jinapor's entry into that ministry. Okay, I don't know which government will be bold enough to say that, listen, I am opening the doors, come and investigate. Yeah. And it's not just happening in Accra, but at the regions as well. Oh, is that Kumasi so? Is west.
I thought with Kumasi that the system they have
in the case of Kumasi, they hide behind Otufo.
Yes.
And said, Nana wants this land. It's Nana who demanded it. A while ago, they drove out most health, officers.
Yes, from the rich area.
Exactly. Also, yeah. And said that, Nana, it was a court judgment that says that the land should be handed over to the Golden Stool. As to, who won that judgment, nobody knows. Otunfor himself hadn't also helped matters by coming out to tell us that indeed he wanted this land or he agreed to that kind of whatever. But people are hiding his name and they are doing things.
Because you go to northern region. When you go to the Ashanti region, it's difficult to do.
Oh no, it's not difficult at all.
So things have changed over there.
Yeah, it's not difficult at all. Wow. To a point where you hear that, listen, even in Ashanti region, the land guard menace, land guard menace is emerging.
It's becoming a thing.
Yeah, it's coming out.
Wow.
Quite strongly. You go to the regions and so on. In the case of the regions, some of the government appointees are the ones taking it. I think there's an officer, one of the deputy ministers, who is accused of getting some of the state's lands to put up a filling station in one instance, a radio station in another. And
Chinia.
yeah,
Former deputy minister, Chinia also. I think they're Sisala East or West MP.
MP. Okay. So Sisala is, which region is Sisala?
Upper East.
Upper
No,
East.
Upper West.
Upper West.
Okay.
Upper West.
So over there as well. And so data on state land, I mean, we've been focused, mainly on Accra, but it goes beyond Accra to the regions as well. And I don't know who will be bold enough, as I said.
But what's with this fixation of wanting all these prime lands by politicians? Because this is something that has become worse, like you're saying. It's something that it's even a campaign tool, it's spoken about on the campaign by various people.
You're right when you said that I've done some work on the state's lands. And it started way back during the Kufuor era. And I had access to Mr. Bright Akwete.
The Rawlings era, we didn't see that.
Were
they not instances of ministers
there were, but
lands?
it wasn't as rampant as we have it today. Okay. So I recall Rawlings indeed started the filling, this land filling exercise where bungalows were sitting on, let's say, 1 acre land. So they decided that, listen, let's get rid of some and do what they call infilling. Okay. So they will sell part of the 1 acre and use the money to build houses or bungalows for state officials. I got to a point where they were not even doing that. They were even selling the bungalows together with the lands to private individuals. During Kufuor,
that's what started.
Yeah, that came out quite. And you recall today's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the International Student Hostel land, which was demarcated which was shared among Kufuor's appointees. The chief of staff got at the point I had the list of the people who had, and it was really, 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 shocking. And they were sold as, I think, at the
very
time,
cheaply.
Yeah, at 20,000 at the time.
So what role I'm asking you these questions because you've worked a lot on these stories, and I want to even
You need to talk to Mr. Bright Akwete.
Sure.
Yeah.
But from what you've gleaned working on these stories, who can step in to solve this problem? Is it the chiefs? Is it government? Is it Lands Commission? I mean, how can we deal with this? Because now we're seeing a lot of demonstrations around the lands and all that. And if you're talking about data, if government has been able to tell us that, for example, that Chimota Forest one, the Owu family didn't get compensation, there is some data somewhere there.
Yeah, sure. See, the Owu family, which of the Owu families are we talking about? Is it the one from Gamashi?
The Osu one, no?
Or the Osu one? And the Osu one, and I mean, there is a group that came out to say that the particular Owu family that the government is talking about are not the owners of the owners of that Chimota land. Okay, I recall Neil and Tevandapoy came out mentioning a certain Owu family. People came out and said that, listen, it's not the Owu family of Gamashi, and that if there's any Owu family, it's the one in Osu.
Yes.
Okay, even that, there's also another record that came from the British government that said that actually that particular Owu family from Osu, they were paid. They were compensated for the, for taking of that, of that land. Exactly. So where the Akufo-Addo government is now coming out to say that, listen, we are giving back, these lands to these people, it's quite baffling. More baffling is where they said that a certain portion had already been given to that Owu family. So the British are saying that, listen, we compensated these people for the taking of this land. Then there is confusion as to which of the Owus from Osu or Owus from Gamashi. And nobody is investigating. Yet government comes out to say that, listen, we are giving, land. We are giving lands back to these people. I mean, look at Chimota Forest is the only, let's say, the biggest green area we have. And imagine what it does to the ecology of this, city. Very soon we'll be converting it into concrete with all the environmental hazards and so on. The purity of the air is going to go away. I mean, schools are nearby. We have a zoo in there. We have Gimpa is also buried in there. Legon is just next door. Yeah. Nobody cares about that.
People are just interested in the real estate and to make money.
Yes, you asked how come you always have government officials running for this land. They use it for land banks. So they will amass a lot of money and then go and buy some of these prime lands and keep it. So that one day when they are hard up, they sell it at outrageous prices and then make money. And they do this, you know, together with officials of the Lands Commission. The Lands Commission officials actually know which lands are not incumbent.
Are available.
Oh yeah, available. And they know what to do when you are in their good books. They give you some and they also take some.
So is there any hope in stopping this?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. I'll come to you too, but let me bring
Let's talk to the lawyer.
On his thoughts about that, you know, whilst you are thinking about what we can do to change the narrative. Selo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem, really. It's a problem. And I think, so two ways. One has to do with what we call the pre-acquisition owners. The law is that, you know, the government has the power to compulsorily acquire land, which, of course, Olenu has said that there is no ownerless land. Every land has an owner. So if government has a project or a program or something to do, government will have to identify the owners of the land and then take the land from them. Yeah. But the law says that you must make you must give them adequate compensation. You must pay for the land you are taking. And so if after a while you are not putting the land to that use, you return it to the pre-acquisition owners, you know, or you give them the first right of refusal, as we say. So that is what it is. That's one. Number two, government acquires the land, and for some reason, it could be policy, it could be anything, government then decides to sell it, okay? And so they sell it to people. So there are lots of lands in Accra that are state lands, but they don't, and they sell it to ordinary people. But they don't normally attract the attention that is normally seen, because some of these guys are not politicians and some of these lands are not very prime, okay? Talking about prime areas, we mean areas like Rage, Laboni, cantonments, you know, airport and those areas. And those lands are very expensive. Yeah. Sometimes because these officials are government people and the considerations people think are not very transparent or fair, they are giving the lands at very ridiculous prices to buy. Lands which would cost a lot of money, like the airport lands where the International Student Hostel was, where we currently have the Foreign Affairs Ministry. I recall it was one of the assignments I covered as a young reporter. Frechidi sent me there when they were demolishing the place. And we spoke to the students, you know. So that whole place was given out to people at giveaway prices. Very prime lands given out to people. And normally when they are doing that, they spread it among themselves. So they got a lot of it. Professor Mills came and decided to take it back. I'm sure he paid back the people, and given a controversy around it, I'm not sure the people even fought it in any way. And then he took it, and that is what we see today as a Foreign Affairs Ministry. Government needs lands to develop, okay? And one other thing too is we must know is that, you know, there are some lands that government must give out because the places must develop. Look at a place like Rage. Look at where the Health Insurance Authority is, and then the Ministry of Health now is. Those were bungalows, very big places with very tiny, old-fashioned buildings which were dilapidated, nobody really living in there. Government needs lands to develop, okay? The NHI and Health Ministry buildings are not private buildings, they are public buildings. So government needs lands to undertake its own projects. Some of the lands government may not need, so government can decide to sell those ones out. But the issue is that when you want to sell the lands or give them out, the processes must be very transparent. If the processes are transparent such that anybody or any average person can partake in it and get it, I'm sure the confusion or the tension regarding disposal of state lands will reduce. It is because sometimes nobody knows what's happening. By the time you realize, they tell you that this politician has bought this prime land, or this prime land, this building on this prime land being demolished belongs to a politician or somebody connected to a politician. That is where the issue is. I don't think government necessarily will want to keep all the lands for really nothing, even though government needs lands to develop. Some of them necessarily may have to be given out to private people to develop the area. So you can imagine Ridge, for example, having all these old buildings, cantonments, having all these old buildings, and government is not ready to develop the place. What will happen to these prime areas? So private developers are important in that sense.
Yes,
but the process must be transparent. I think it's the transparency of the process that is where the issue is. When it's transparent, everybody knows that if I want it, I can get it.
But if government gets the land from the landowners to use it for a particular thing and doesn't use it, doesn't even put up a bungalow or whatever, and then doesn't have any use for it, why doesn't it return it back to the
so I think there's a Supreme Court decision which says that the 1992 Constitution, lands before the 1992 Constitution are not covered by that. But there are times with the pre-acquisition owners do not have what it takes to acquire it because you are paid compensation. So when you are coming back for it, it doesn't mean they give it back to you for free.
Because even there are questions around compensation. Most of, I'm looking at Greater Accra, most of the stools or whatever haven't been paid compensation because of issues of chieftaincy disputes. So many of them don't have any form of compensation for anything. That is hanging, not been solved. And then you turn around quickly to sell the lands when you've even not paid compensation.
So it's one of the issues that government must address. Of course, if there is confusion, who do you pay to?
Who do you pay to?
So that we can understand. But where there is no confusion and government hasn't paid compensation, that is not fair because you'd have deprived the family or the stool, their use of their land. Exactly. That is not proper. That must be looked at. Talking about the Achimota forest land, I mean, we spoke to Professor Ting Ababil, who used to be the head of the geography department at the University of Ghana. He says he has records to show that the Owu family was paid. So if they come today to say that they have not been paid, he said for him it was strange because he has documents dating back to the Gold Coast days, which suggests that the Owu family was paid. And here we are saying which of the Owu families even. Is it the Gamashi one or the Osu one? So yes, state land, there are issues. But I think those issues must be dealt with transparently. If it's transparent, if I want the land, I can get it. If you want it, you can get it. Then it kind of brings down the tension. Let me comment on Okudzeto Ablakwe's work generally. Very fantastic job he's doing to shine the light on some of these things. And the action he's taking with some of his colleague MPs to introduce a private members bill to arrest what they call state capture. Some of them I've not had time to consume or peruse the document properly, but some of the provisions in there include the fact that, if you are a state official, you will not be allowed or you should not be allowed to buy state land until after a certain time. I think that will put some sanity in the system. But the other issue is that politicians, as we know, could use proxies, they could use people to buy lands. Okay, but at least it's the brazen nature of it we see today, at least will be reduced. And maybe by the time you realize that, this guy was connected to this guy, it may take a while. But it solves the problem a bit. It doesn't solve it entirely, but it solves it a bit. And other provisions in there. It's a major issue we must deal with. And it's interesting how these matters come up. I remember in Kufuor's time, the Gandangbe youth and all those guys came up. Dr. KB Asante, God bless his soul, was key in driving some of these things in 2008. Here we are, 2024, we've still not had solutions to that, having a lot of these things. And I think, this conversation or this matter hasn't been helped so much, given issues like the sale of the hotel and the issues surrounding the sale of the Senate hotels and the issues surrounding the La Palm beach front and all of those things. All of those worked or conspired to give impetus to this thing we call state capture. Okay, so when you listen to the minister tried to trace some of these things. And he says, and indeed, record from the Lands Commission shows that some of these lands we are talking about were given out or the processes started, in the last regime. But how come we did not hear of a lot of them this way, like we're hearing today? Because perhaps other circumstances might have conspired to make them very loud today. It's important that the discussion is coming up now, the matter is coming up now. Let's find a proper solution to it so that it doesn't come back again tomorrow. And the state needs lands to do its work. But again, like I said before, the state cannot develop all the land. So it's important for private people to also get in. But the process must be transparent. There should be accountability in the process. And we should all know what's happening. That, I think, will help, limit the tensions we have and douse the fires a bit.
Okay. The owners of the land, the youth and whatever, how far can they go? Because what we see most of the time is protests, the shout, and then that's it.
I think the youth, they are the young blood. They have the energy and all of that, and the future indeed belongs to the youth. So it's important. Youth agitation is good, but they must be directed properly. Youth will not be happy. A lot of youth are not happy about a lot of things. There's an extent to which that can go, but I think if the processes are transparent, okay, if the processes are transparent and open for everybody to see, these issues may not arise so much. Or even if it arises, the protest may not gain a lot of traction like we see today. It is an issue of transparency. And the fact that we think that people who have been given power to lead us grab things for themselves. Okay. So if we are able to immobilize that hand of those in power, grabbing everything for themselves, I think that the youth, the tension and agitation will be reduced. Transparency, I'm sure, will cure a lot of those. And we need to have a policy, a strategy. This is what we want to do with state lands, or this lands, this is what we want to do with them. Or cantonments lands, for example. This is a long-term plan for in the next 10, 20 years. This is how we want the place to look like. And if those plans and programs are clear to everybody, and everybody knows what it is, when those things are unfolding, everybody knows, okay, this is what we have as a long-term vision, and this is how it's happening. But you don't see anything. All of a sudden, a building is coming, a filling station is coming up, it belongs to this person or that person. It doesn't look good. So, for example, and then the optics too are not helpful. The lands, is it around cantonments where the judges are? All of a sudden they say filling station is coming up around the place, and the judges were almost kicked out of their buildings, etc. The land might have been sold properly by the Lands Commission, but the optics as we saw them or as we see them are not proper. Sacking judges from their buildings like that is not correct. And who sold the place to the person? I mean, what was the person thinking? It might have happened in the last regime, but what was the person thinking? This is a place for judges. You've not found them alternative accommodation, but you've sold the place. Why do you sell the place? The judges are dispensing, or they are providing an essential service to the people of Ghana. Why do you treat them like that? And so many other places, the parks and gardens land, for example, somebody just comes and says he has the place. The person might have gone through the process, but how transparent was that process? And what's the plan? What's the strategy? Don't we want the parks and gardens place anymore? Did we communicate it to people? Do we all know that the government of the day doesn't need parks and gardens anymore? So there's a lot of opacity, and I'm sure if there is transparency and clarity about what the strategy is and about what government wants to do with these lands, the agitations will subside. And
interestingly, most of the time, these lands are converted to concrete jungles, apartments. Nothing, out of your way development that, I don't know, but most of the time, it's just the concrete jungles gone up, that's it.
No, because they were sold more for the profit-making reason. Okay. So somebody is able to talk to Salom, who works at Lands Commission. And then Salom, because he wants to keep his job, will go around saying that, oh, Honorable, and so Salom works everything out for me to go and get that land. The next moment I'm putting up, a huge structure that I'm doing, let's say, for apartment buildings and so on, or with some shops somewhere thereabout. And I'm renting them out for my retirement benefit. My children and my grandchildren could come and inherit it. It is beautiful. But the point is that, you see, Ghana, we are not, Ghana is a growing, let's say, concern, let me put it that way. And so you can't just give this out. And future development and so on and so forth. Now, you see, another thing these guys do is that they don't just give it to politicians. They look for judges and give it to them.
So that they can sort.
Yeah, so when the case is put before the judge, he knows that he's also a beneficiary. We have Supreme Court judges who are beneficiaries of this thing. Some of them were even in the bungalow, and it was sold to them. Now, the next guy who took over from him after his retirement had nowhere to go. So then the state will have to be looking around for
a new place.
Exactly, and sometimes they even go into renting of some of these things at outrageous, prices from private developers. The demolition of the
Bulgarian embassy.
Oh no!
Or the judges.
Yeah, the judges bungalow around for the construction of the National Cathedral.
Okay. Yeah.
It took out a lot of state officials, including judges from there, and they were moved into private properties. How much is the state paying to house these judges? High Court judges, Court of Appeal judges, Supreme Court judges, ministers of state, who were moved away from there to private buildings. And you'll be even shocked as to which institutions that these properties were rented from.
Yeah.
Okay? So the judges are involved. In some instances, they've even gone to get security agencies. CDS is getting something. IGP is also getting something. So that when the guns or the youth, as you say.
But these are strong allegations you are making.
Oh, but these are stories that we've been published. We've been giving you evidence. Listen, go back to, well, in this country, people don't, I was going to say something but home. The International Student Hostel lands, for instance. I could say that I broke that story when I was working with Enquara as to who got it. Initially, the claim was that it was given to the Chief of Staff then, Kojo Mpieni. Only for at least to come out after Kufuor left office, that Kojo Mpieni wasn't the only beneficiary. Even the Chief Justice at the time, Georgina Woods, also got. Other security agencies, agency heads also got that same land.
So it means that this thing we cannot solve.
No, so I think what happens is whoever is the architect of it tries to spread it around.
To spread it around.
So if you spread it around, the people who will complain,
put you in order, are compromised.
They are compromised, or they are also beneficiaries.
Yeah. Ministers of state.
So you can't push it so much. That's what. So you leave the youth on the street who will make noise, but the noise won't go anywhere because the security people who have to keep them in check, or who have it, so they'll keep them in proper check. They can't progress with their demonstration.
You remember the case of
so it's they deal with it. It's a well planned thing, so that everybody gets a piece of it, and so that's state capture. That's looting the state for your personal gain. When the state itself is crying or is being raped. So it's a difficulty. I think a national policy on this will go a long way to help us. Of course, people will find ways around them, but largely you'll be able to stem the tide in a certain way if there is a policy to guard the use of state lands. That should be important. And all these conversations, should culminate into that. I read, in the news that at a recent cabinet meeting, the directive is that no state land should go without the president personally knowing or that kind of thing.
Yeah. You believe that?
I hope it's true.
You believe that?
But that's what cabinet has said. That's what was reported.
How many days?
So I wonder how many. I wonder how many of those requests will be on the president's desk. But at least it gives an indication that maybe the highest, parts of government, are beginning to hear the cries of the people, and there's an attempt to do something, even if it will not be done. I wonder how the president himself will see all of this. In any case, the Lands Commission does so on behalf of the president. The Lands Commission exercises, the lands are held in trust for the people by the president. And the president cannot be doing it himself, so the Lands Commission does it on behalf of the president. So are you saying the president might look at it personally? Or
what's the job of the Lands Commission?
But we need to deepen the conversation, and the conversation must be had in a way so that we get to a solution or a resolution of the matter, not to have it in every election year and then leave it again for another election year. No, we need to tie the loose ends and get a proper resolution.
Mahama says he's going to set up a committee
But during his time, there were similar cases,
well,
isn't
so
it?
that has come
So
up quite strongly.
Why didn't he do
Why didn't he
anything?
stop it?
Same thing. I mean, like you said, all of them have been guilty.
You get it. Listen, there's this land around Cantonment called the Rangoon. Yeah, near, I think behind fire service.
Yeah.
Where the police...
yeah, just around the Cantonment
that came up recently.
Yes, exactly.
I think
exactly.
from
and it's been given out to a
they
private
put
developer.
Up,
you get it. And now, next door to that is where you have the residence of the vice president, the controversial residence of the vice president being constructed.
Yeah.
This building, it's it's very tall and overlooking
the homes of
the supposed home of the vice president.
Yeah.
Now, what it means is that that whole vice president residence thing has been destroyed.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be a security zone. Now, there's a building, a private building overlooking what the vice president is doing in his residence. Anybody at all can even stand there and gun down whoever is there. Yeah. You get it?
Yeah.
And it's a military land that has been given out to a private developer.
So who sold it? The military?
In this case, the military is saying that. In this case, the military is saying that they gave it out they are doing land for houses scheme. Okay. Now, so the private developer is supposed to put up some houses for the military the military, for the soldiers. That building, those buildings for the soldiers, nobody knows where they are or when they will be constructed. However, these buildings are already in the air. Okay, you move to Roman Ridge. Again, number 2 Roman Ridge meant for the army commander, and number 1 Roman Ridge meant for the CDS. It's also gone to a private developer under the same scheme.
Oh, is it a land close to the Tank Palace?
Tank Palace.
Oh, it's gone?
Yeah, exactly. Recently, we wrote about
the ones, if you come from the Gold House on your left.
Exactly.
Yes. All those ones are gone as well.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's supposed to go, and then, the military will get some buildings in return.
But it's gone to a private.
It's gone for a private. So there's a new army commander who can't move into his residence.
Because they are gone?
Yes, they are gone.
So the military gave it out?
The military gave it out. What's his name? I was going to call him a guy. The Minister for Defense. Nitiwu. Held I think he spoke in Parliament sometime last year where he talked about, this whole thing started before he even took
so everybody's accusing the other.
Yeah, it's accusing the other, and that he only modified it a bit. As to what he took over and how he modified it, nobody knows. And they are not even ready to mention the names of the private developers for us to go and ask, listen, what arrangement do you have with these people? Nobody is talking about it.
But usually when they put up the construction bars too, the name of the contractor is supposed to be on.
Oh, I mean, you don't normally get that.
Yeah,
you don't normally get that.
Yeah,
all they need to do is go and look for some.
Nobody enforces anything. So.
Wow. So, I mean, it looks like it's a case that it's not going to be solved.
So you see, I'm encouraged by what Professor Mills did with respect to the International Student Hostel land. When he came, he said that place is important. That place, we need that place for development. So he got it back, or he took it back from the people. All right,
so
and
you
pay
think
them.
we will see a similar?
Yeah. But we want good leadership. Yeah. So whoever comes, is it Baumia or is it Mahama or is it Alan Chemati? Whoever comes, we need to see a semblance of that. That the land maybe was not given to you properly, or even though you might have gone through the process, I'm government. I can still take it back. So we need it, and so we will take it back and give you back your money. That should be done.
But just one quick one. You remember. Even Professor Mills had some, he ran into some, exactly, from the court, where Okujeto and then Omani Buama took the accusation by Jacobe Chebilante to court.
Definitely there'll be legal
and the case was put before the same Supreme Court judges who had benefited, with the Chief Justice herself at the time, who was also a beneficiary of some of these things, being the one empaneling the judges to hear the case. All they had to say was that, this is a contract. Offers were made, and then they accepted, and that ended it. That ended it. Yeah. So, Chief Justice benefited, IGP at the time benefited, and many others, all got. And we are here. Wow. We are renting. We are spending money. The president also wakes up one day saying that, listen, he had seen a vision. He needed to build a cathedral. And went there, pulled down every building, and left us with a hole.
But at least that's still in the books of the state.
Is that?
At least that hasn't gone to a private developer.
No, but then the fact that you pull down those buildings, and you at the time when you don't have any fallback, okay, so you have to go to the private market to go and be renting at their price.
Yeah, for that, but
exactly.
but in terms of the land being put to use and not being sold to private people,
but that is
a different.
No, I'm talking about the building.
Yeah.
The fact that we didn't have any fallback, that it was the buildings were pulled down, and then the judges moved into wherever other state institutions were moved into. Whatever it is. Some of those buildings were constructed so that they could have access to their offices under a state of emergency. They can easily be called for meetings or something critical. But at this time, no. Nobody cares about that.
What really should be the best practice, or is the best practice? Should we still, at this age, be thinking about providing housing for public officials? I mean, should that be the discussion moving forward? Or we should just pay them well, let them get their own accommodation. In fact, some judges live in their own houses. I think some ministers also live in their own houses. Yeah. So, I mean, what should be the discussion really? I don't have the answer, but I think it's about time we started looking at it. Must you always be given accommodation by the state because you are a judge or because you are this person or that person? Or the state pays you well, like any other person, and then you get your own accommodation. You do it the way you have to be. You have to be at work when you have to be at work. I think we need to begin.
But even some of the lands that we see being taken are not necessarily for accommodation for. So if you look at the parks and gardens,
exactly.
You know, so it looks like any prime land that is.
So my answer to that will be a mixture of the two. Sometimes you could bring people, you've seen a certain talent somewhere. In a remote area, and you bring him to Accra because you think that whatever responsibility there is, this guy could best deliver.
In terms of the state
Exactly.
housing.
So you then move him into a state house, okay? And then you ensure that he's doing well. Others who already have their homes and they feel that they want to be here, you pay them, a certain, maintenance or
because
a certain...
Some of them take these houses, they don't even live in them. They give them out to other people.
Yeah, but some people could come and then they will occupy that.
So I think Salom's thoughts around what we should also decide moving forward in trying to address this thing of whether we should still house them. Because you have cases where they are given these things, they have their private bungalows, they rent this out to someone, they will be in the private bungalows.
Yeah, but that is not your lookout. It is for the state. The state at a point in time will have a use for a property like that. So we don't have to be caught unawares where the person is appointed and then you're having to look around, where can I put? For exactly.
Okay.
When we do that, then we are giving them excuses
to break them.
To break them. Yeah, exactly. And sell them out.
We have to move on. We hope the discussion continues and this problem is solved. But this is what the papers are saying. We'll be right back. Okay, so you're welcome back to what the papers are saying. We'll move to our next topic. I'll quickly touch on the Mahama proposing free tertiary education for level 100 students of universities, and then we'll move to illegal mining. I'll start with you, Selom, on your thoughts.
How about the Olympics?
We'll go to the Olympics. We'll wrap up with the Olympics, but let me start with Selom on that. This has stoked a lot of fire. Free tuition, level 100, across board. People are saying you were criticizing free SHS. This is also going to involve a lot of money. How different is that?
Well, I think it's a laudable idea for now. It's good to want to deepen access. I mean, the discussion really, even about free SHS, has been access. Access. Other people thought put quality before access. Others think put access before quality. So access is important. So people finish SS or SHS, they have to continue to the tertiary. But because of the same problem of funding, they are unable to start. So I think the proposition really is that once they get the admission, let them go to school. And sometimes the admission letter comes and then immediately they have to go to school. They are not able to mobilize funds, etc., and that becomes a problem. Let them go to school, and then second year onwards, they would have been settled properly to pay, and also they promised to revamp revamp the student loan trust fund plus, make it plus, so that they can give more loans to give more funding to applicants, which will help them take care of their fees. As we speak, 1 year, what's the name? Cost of funding tertiary education for about 1 year is around 15,000. I think Africa will do some work on it also. Currently, give a maximum of 3,000, and that is woefully inadequate. It can't do anything. So if you want to make it effective, then increase it. Increase it to about 10,000 or 15,000. But that also raises other issues. So it's a good program, policy on paper, but I think that we need more details on that. So for example, if I can pay, you used to give it to me for free. Yeah. Like UTAG is saying, let's use it as scholarships or bursaries. Let people who cannot pay go to a certain office in the school, write their names, etc., and then let them pass. Yeah. Let them go through. The hurdle should not be, we shouldn't put hurdles in their way. However, so the same discussion or argument applies to the free SHS. However, because it is a political program, they will want the bandwagon effect. They want everybody to latch onto it. Because if you say it is selective, it doesn't give you the wave you need. So you say it's free for everybody. Yeah. So that maybe, so you get what you want from it. After that, you can look at it and review it and say, okay, we've tried it for the first year, second year. We think that A, B, and C have to be done about it. So for now, I think that is a stage where it is. But as we've always said, it is important to target some of these programs. We don't have a lot of money. And if you want to do it, make sure you do it for people who need it, not for people who do not need it. Yeah. Like the SNIT loans we were taking in school. Not everybody needed it. Yeah. And the halls timed their whole week celebrations. The halls timed their week celebrations around the time the SNIT was going to come. So when the SNIT will come, and I mean, guys will be all over the place and things. A lot of people did not use those monies well because they didn't really need them. Let's identify those who need them, and let's support them. But I can understand it's a political promise. They need a wave to keep the momentum. So it has come this way. I mean, I think over time it has to be fine-tuned together with the free SHS itself, so that we don't continue to waste money. So we improve quality as well.
Sure. Larry?
Yeah, well, somebody told me that, I mean, it's the political season again, and people are throwing a
promises,
lot of promises, free things, all that. And then the president was like, listen, do we think that at this stage, people really would want to do free things? Because whatever is offered to you free denies you of something. Yeah. So at the point in time, the present government was saying that, listen, we've spent all the money on free SHS, so we can't do the roads, we can't do this, we can't do that, and that there are competing demands. Yeah. Okay. Now, and then the NDC has come out to say that when they take over, they would want to review the free SHS and all that. So I think people's mind were more on that.
The review of the free SHS and not moving on to another freebie.
Exactly, another freebie. And yesterday, it was 3 days ago, myself and Samant were talking about how many universities there are in this country, public universities. At the last count, we had about 25. Wow. Okay? And then the other, other schools all over. Now, when you do the public universities, what happens to, let's say, the teacher training as well? Yeah. Okay, how about the nurses? Okay, and many others. Now, people have come to the point that, listen, let's ask for the needs. I mean, let's know the individual needs. And to know that, why won't you, let's say, take data, collect data through the national identification, card, for instance. No, okay, this is Vivian. Vivian's father works with so and so, that and that. The mother works here, and that the two of them are able to get Vivian the best of education. Okay, so if Vivian wants to go to, let's say, Infantimam, for instance, and that she can only enter as a boarder, and that her parents are capable of paying all through. But if you want to do it, okay, you want to go to a day school can go to you for free.
Yeah.
But even if you have to pay something, it's something very negligible. And so these are the things that people are asking for. That you have close to how many thousands of students pass out from the secondary school going to university every year. I mean, have we done any serious, analysis or data? Do we have any serious data?
Yeah.
And then done analysis how much the students are supposed to pay? Okay, that government will now want to show that. The same government is dealing with the free SHS. The same, a while ago, somewhere at the north, we had issues with bursaries going to students. So most schools, various times, had to close down because government hasn't released, the bursaries. Charles is issuing statements and so on. Charlie?
So this free thing for free tuition thing, no.
I mean, it's not for me to say.
I mean, what you are saying, it's a no.
The politicians would. I mean, they have other, they have something else they are looking at. But from where I sit, for me, I think that we should consolidate, the free SHS before looking at something else.
Okay.
You get it?
All right.
I mean, there are people with practical needs, and you would have seen that even from the free SHS, where certain things are supposed to be paid for and that the student can't pay. He's gotten admission and even common buying, suitcases and all that to school, he can't afford. Several times you guys, I mean, CTFM have had to do a thing like that.
So probably they should institute something where when you cannot afford, because there are real stories of people that
we have the scholarship secretariat, the Govt fund, Cocoa, something, and many scholarships all over the place.
They have stopped there.
The problem with a lot of these government programs is that it's targeting.
Yeah.
So, for example, NHIS, it is free for everybody once you fall within a certain category. So, like, if you are under 18 years, no matter who your parents are, or no matter who you are, it is free. If you're a pregnant woman, no matter who you are, if you are the president, a female president, you are pregnant, it's supposed to be free for you. So a lot of these programs lack targeting. So it makes us waste a lot of money. Same for free SHS and same as
school feeding.
So now school feeding, etc. So you see, it's a vote catching thing. The MPP, for example, is hoping that people who have benefited from free SHS will vote for them. Sometimes, I mean, it doesn't always work that way because it has become the norm. So some people don't even know how it used to be. That sometimes people struggle to pay fees. It's become the norm, so they go through it. So they don't care about who instituted it. They go. Now the thinking is, once these guys have gone through the system, they'll be grateful. So they want to keep the government in place. Now, once they've gone through the process, nature, human life or attitude, you are looking at the next step. The next step is to go to the university. You don't have the money. Now, this guy is promising that I'll give it to you for free. Will you vote for the guy who helped you through the SHS, or you vote for the one who will move you to your next level? So I think it's a strategy, political strategy perhaps, to eat into the so-called advantage that the MPP may want to be getting from the free SHS graduates. And I think politically, yes, it may be smart, but economically, what will it mean? So it's a good program. It will deepen access, but I think we need to look at our finances a bit. The free SHS budget needs to be cut short, dramatically or drastically. Target it properly. It could be bursaries. Go to the school. If you cannot pay, go write your name. The school will look at it and let you go to school. No child should be left, uneducated or without education. By all means, educate them, but let it be efficient.
Okay, guys, thank you. Our time is up. We'll do it another time because I'll make sure you come back for the Olympics discussion. I see you are interested in there. But thank you very much, Salam Adonu, here with us at ChannelOne TV as well as the TFM, and Larry Alansdogbe, managing. No, let me, because I owe you a cow and beachfront, so I have to do the thing well.
Herald.
You can't trust the beachfront in Accra.
I can't. What I can do is perhaps give you the cow, but the beachfront,
That's
I
what
can't.
that's what you want.
So I have to let my
He
lawyer.
deserves to own a beachfront
You know,
too.
Selop is my lawyer as well. But
Oh,
in this
how?
case, he decided to go to you, so I have to bring my other lawyer, which is Kai, to come in. I can't say anything else without his, presence. But thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to our viewers as well. My name is Vivian Kai Loko. We'll see you again. Goodbye.